Hi, welcome back to Poppy Monroe. I have a rushed video for you today trying to get these headbands for heroes out the door so you can start making them for all of your local healthcare professionals. We've had lots of requests come in for headbands. I know healthcare workers, you're getting sore behind the ears from all the masks that you've been having to wear. And you're looking to have headbands with buttons installed. I'm personally not sure what the efficacy is on wearing a mask with a headband, so please consult your local medical associations. But if you're asking for it, we're gonna we're gonna make it available for you. I have one here as well without the buttons, and so I'm going to recommend that if you're making these for your healthcare professionals, make one without the button too, so that while they're just hanging out at home, they can also be sitting there in comfort. So one thing to note with these headbands, we've seen some buttons up higher. Our local nurses are saying that if you put the buttons up higher towards the temples, it's going to pull your mask up and cut under your chin because the angles of the elastics will be pulling up, and then incidentally it will pull the mask out from your nose. Okay, so we want to make sure that it's mimicking behind the ears as possible. So what we've done here is just put it behind and up a little bit from the ear so that when the elastic is installed, it's a knit, so it's going to come down further behind your ears. We have also created this without an elastic installed because in Canada we're just not able to find elastics. They're all snatched up for mask making or other purposes. So this is 100% knit. I'll link in comments another suggestion if you do happen to have elastic handy and available for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So once you have your printout ready to go, this is a earlier version, so yours might look a little bit different, but you want to make sure that you measure the square to make sure that it's measuring 2 inches by 2 inches. That'll make sure that your headband is to scale. So when you cut it out, your pattern piece will look like this. And I'll just go over some parts on here. So either you want one pattern piece and you'll fold your fabric in 4s, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute, or cut out 2 of these and tape them together here so that you'll have a second piece coming out the other side. Here I've marked the button placement. This is the old one. I'm so sorry. We're trying to do this as quick as possible to get it out so people can start making them. So this will be your button placement, and this is the grain line. So your stretch will be going around the head, and if you look for grain line on your knits, it will be following this arrow. On here I've indicated some sizes, so there's either the extra large, average size, or small. I'm suggesting that if you don't know who's going to be using your headband, just make the average size. With the knits, it's pretty stretchy and should be pretty good. So I'm going to show you the technique that is used if you're using just this half of the pattern piece. So I'm going to take this Rebecca Rec fabric, and it's a knit, so you're going to want at least 50% stretch in both directions. So I would fold this in half. Okay, so that's folded in half, and then to fold it in quarters you would fold it over again. So you have 4 layers of fabric, and then I would take my pattern piece and see how there's a fold indicator here and a fold indicator here. I would put this in the corner and then cut around here. I've gone ahead and done that with another piece of fabric, and this is what it looks like. So if I unfold it, you'll see it's a whole headband. Now what we're going to do is put the fabric right sides together, fold it in half, and I will sew along the long curved edge at 3/8 of an inch. Sewing at 3/8 of an inch, this is a knit fabric, so you can't use a stretch stitch. I prefer to use a triple stitch. You can also use a zigzag, or you could use a lightning stitch as well. All right, so now you've seen we've stitched along the edge here with a stretch stitch. I would test it to make sure that if you're stressing on the seam, it's not popping. If it pops, you have to redo it and find a better stretch stitch for you. So now we're going to turn this so that it's right sides out. And if you have loop turners, I mean, that would make it go even faster. But I've left it wide enough at the back so that it turns easily and thin enough that it's not going to pop off the head. If you find that you've made one, it's still popping off your head and you don't think it's too loose, it might be that it's too thick around the back of your head. Okay, so now we've turned it right sides out. This will be the part that goes by the forehead, okay, and this is the part that goes around the back of the neck. So now what we're going to do is sew these closed. You could fiddle with these and tuck the edges in and then kind of push this inside the other side of the loop with these tucked in to make it look really nice. But to be honest, I'm going to be making like hundreds of these. So what I'm going to do is put these with the raw edges together, and I'm just going to do a stretch stitch to finish the loop. Okay, wonderful. So now you have your headband, it's nearly finished. You could go ahead and give this a press to give it a nice crisp look. You could top stitch it if you want, but I think a pressing would just be fine. This is the part that's going to go against the back of your head. So what I like to do is to just trim the seam allowance and the threads. There you go. And then there's your headband. Now, some healthcare workers have approached me and asked if I could install buttons on the sides of their headbands to help with the masks. I guess they're using the mask so much that it's hurting the back of their ears. Now, I need you to rely on the advice of your medical associations. I'm not sure what the efficacy of this is in terms of the use of your mask, so please rely on them. However, this is what our group has found is the best button placement if that's something that you're wanting to do. Okay, so if I look at my pattern piece, this is the buttonhole placement that I'm using. So if I line it up here, I'm going to start my needle here. I've already pre-threaded my needle with and it's knotted, okay? And I'm going to use a button with a stem. So I just thread my needle through the stem and come back down right beside that thread that you've just poked through. And back down the other side. If you have a good button that you can really grab a hold of that stem, then you can just come up and down in the same motion. Mine is just, I'm just not able to get it. So I'm going to go up and down a few times just to secure it. I'd say like maybe 6. 6 might be a good number. Maybe 10 if, you know, they're going to have lots of use on this too. Okay, and then I'll show you at the end. What I like to do is I take my thread and I hold my button like this and I wrap around the thread that is holding the stemmed button in place a few times, and then I will take my needle and go back down through that thread into the other side of the headband. And then I'll tie it off. So what I do is I bite just a little bit of the fabric, and then I put my needle through that loop once, and then twice, and I pull, and then I cut off with a little tiny bit of a tail. I'll repeat that on the other side, and then your headband is complete. Would love to hear from you if you've made these, and please subscribe to the channel so you can receive any further updates. I hope you found this tutorial helpful in creating headbands for your local healthcare heroes. A big thank you from our family to yours. I am just ever grateful for everything that you're doing on the front lines to help us all stay safe. So please take care of yourselves and let us know if there's anything else that we can help you with. Much love.